Dawn of War 3 is developed by Relic Entertainment and released on April 27th, 2017, 6 years after Dawn of War 2's last expansion. It's since lost its update support, but the servers are still up. This is only 10 months after launch, so let's find out what the hell happened. Well, the game runs just fine. I ran on minimum settings on 2015 laptop, and it's still quite playable. And from what I hear, it runs better than Company of Heroes 2, which launched back in 2013. So that can't be it. Was it a poor launch? No. I remember seeing its peak player counts around 12 to 15,000 around the time, and I saw ads for it on Twitch. So it comes down to how much content was there and what that said content was. So let's talk about the single player campaign to start with. So I'm going to give a relatively short rundown on the campaign. It'll take you about 8 to 10 hours to complete depending on the difficulty you prefer to play. So while the cinematics for Dawn of War 3 are certainly good, they're a bit disappointing after that awesome fucking opening cinematic we got. The voice acting is fucking on point as well.
I am Ronin, Lord Kaya's spymaster. I've been sent to give you your next mission.
You waste your breath. I already know Kaya has devised some errand that will remove me from this war.
Not an inaccurate assessment.
Boss, are you sure about this? How do you know you can even use this spear? Duh, there's a pointy end in there. Yeah, but I mean the spear's supposed to be a weird-touched Eldar thing. How do you know its kill gets in one poke will work for an orc?
I'll kill him with the spear, or I'll kill him with me sogging claw. What matters to you lot is that these gits will give us a good fight for it. And what matters to me is, I want that stick!
I've played through Dawn of War 3's entire campaign twice, and my biggest problem with the gameplay is that it's boring. Well, let me elaborate on that. These campaign missions are a lot more like Dawn of War 1 than Dawn of War 2, gameplay-wise. So a lot of your missions are you sitting back, building up your death ball, and then sending a death ball to go wreck the enemy shit. This is an awesome formula, but Dawn of War 3's campaign doesn't account any balance changes made in the multiplayer. So the resource rates are so fucking low. Like, it takes forever to get that death ball. So you're just sitting there forever, just waiting, and it's boring, especially on harder difficulties. Now for the story. So there are some spoilers up ahead, so I'm going to link an in-game movie, Dawn of War 3, if you want to watch that to catch up on the story, but there's not really all that much to spoil, so here we go! So the story of Dawn of War 3 is that the Imperium, Eldar, and Orcs want this mythical weapon called the Spear of Cain on the planet Acheron. The story takes a while to start, then once it does, it starts to become really good, and then just falls flat on a stupid fucking face. As our characters get closer and closer to the spear, the story gets better and better as you wonder what's going to happen. Then it just reveals that it's a trap and it's a giant demon awakens that kills shit. Yay! Then our heroes and they put aside our differences and work together to kill this demon. And it was what is likely the worst last mission in an RTS campaign ever. You just control the three main characters while this demon just plays fucking cheap gameplay tricks on you. It's annoying, it doesn't feel like an RTS. This mission shouldn't fucking exist. It should be removed. Just be placed with something. Have a cliffhanger. I don't know. The story fucking sucks.
So much blood had been spilled, lay within reach of those that sought it. Gorguts arrived first, but Kaya challenged him, and in a swift battle, vanquished him. Moment of ascendant victory, the trap was sprung on Kai, and it was his blood that was spilled by the spear. It was not the weapon of an Eldar god, but a trinket to lure us like lambs to a blood sacrifice. A ritual to revive an ancient evil and unleash him from the ice. Released from dormancy and then gorged with blood, the demon.
Lame! Dawn of War 3's story feels like a copy of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void's story. And while this is a video for another day, I don't even feel like Legacy of the Void had a good story. I thought it fucking sucked. Dawn of War 3 made it worse. Amon was generic, but at least he had voice lines. Dawn of War 3 has a random fucking huge chaos demon. There's even chaos in the game! What the fuck? Okay, well, alright. I'm considering making a full video on the single player later, but this topic is going to be into depth a lot. Just let me know if you want me to make a video going in depth about the single player. Also, a side note is that the soundtrack of this game is fucking awesome. I would highly recommend giving it a listen on Spotify sometime.
On the armies below.
Eldar! Prophecy comes to pass! The way is open!
But the bombardment had consequences unforeseen by the Inquisitor, smashing the gate to the altar and opening the way to the spear. To Kaya, this was no accident, but the prophecy coming to pass.
So let's talk about the Iron Painter to start with. Now you can see all of your units. Now you can't really pick what specific shade of color that you want, but there are plenty to choose from, so it's not that big of a deal. So I've heard some people complain about the fact that you can't import your own banners and the names of your chapters don't show for other people, and this was pretty much certainty for content. So before we go any further in this video, I need to let you guys know about something about my Dawn of War 3 playtime. I've spent a lot of time in this game's multiplayer. I can't be that bad. Oh. Oh no! Why? Now let me explain why that isn't a bad thing. I've played this game way more than any other reviewer you're going to watch, but that also means I'm sort of biased towards it, but I'm still going to be very fair with this game. So now let's talk about core gameplay. There are 3 playable races, which is less than any other Dawn of War game before it. Everlex sort of makes up for this with elite and doctrine mechanics. You can select 3 different elites and 3 different army doctrines. Also, every elite has 2 doctrines you can choose from, so you'll have a total of 6 doctrines on the battlefield. This heavily increases the amount of replayability with each race. However, you have to level up elites to get some of the best doctrines. This mostly applies to Space Marines, but I still don't understand who the hell thought it was a good idea to have a progression system in an RTS. Now, if you want to have progression, just have us unlock portraits and skins, but don't have it affect gameplay. This problem is even larger now because sometime after October, Relic decided to make a way harder to level your elites for some reason. It's bloody impossible to play Space Marines now if you're new. Like, you can't get any of the good doctrines. Now, for Eldar and Orcs, this problem doesn't apply nearly as much, but still, like, don't have progression in RTS, period. Now, here's something that I want to disprove that I've been hearing since the game launched. This game is not a fucking MOBA. To prove this, you can go to custom games, turn off elites, play Annihilation. Boom! No MOBA mechanics at all. But what if you want to make this game into a MOBA, like a full MOBA? Like, do you have any idea how many fucking changes you have to make? You have to make, like, heroes level in game, you have to buy items. So this game is not a MOBA. It has some MOBA mechanic. So please, stop trying to say it's a MOBA. Now I'm going to briefly go over each of the 3 game modes Dawn of War 3 has. Power Core. This is Dawn of War 3's flagship mode. The whole multiplayer is balanced around it, and it's the only mode used in matchmaking and tournaments. It's centered around you destroying your opponent's objectives while you defend yours. The order of objectives are the shield generator first, then the turret, and finally the power core. You get an assload of resources whenever you kill a generator or a turret. This mode works well with Dawn of War's core gameplay of controlling points to gain resources. Now you just have to protect and attack objectives on top of that. Annihilation. Nobody fucking plays this mode. Annihilation with defenses. So the reason that no one plays regular Annihilation is because the only reason you want to do that is just to rush. Annihilation with defenses feels like what a lot of people think Power Core is. You can't rush. So you just have to control points on a map to get resources and then have a big attack on your opponent's base. Now, if this game's core mode was a lot more like this, I feel like people would have hated this game so fucking much. Power Core doubles down on Dawn of War 3's aggressive map control-like gameplay, while Annihilation with defenses gives people a break and cuts down on the rushing a bit. Now let's talk about the game's races. First up are the Space Marines. Now I already touched on the fact that Space Marines need elite doctrines to be any good, but even with these doctrines, Space Marines are still the worst race in this game. They have the most expensive units and the least mobility. This is meant to be made up with their tankiness, but that simply isn't the case here. Space Marines have snipers, which are just shitty rangers. Space Marines have Gabe, which is just shitty Gorguts. Space Marines have Devastators, which are just shitty Dark Reapers. You see what I'm getting at here? In general, Space Marines simply don't have the damage to compete with the other 2 races. Speaking of which, Eldar are my most played race in this game. I was ranked 6 on the leaderboards when I peaked. Eldar dominate the early game with Dark Reapers or Rangers. Pick Dark Reapers if you want to grab some early objectives. You go Rangers if 3, you're a fucking cunt. Other than that, Eldar are kind of Eldar. Your gameplay really revolves around your webway gates, which regenerate the shields that you have, and they also give you bonus movement speed. It's so interesting because this is how they decided to balance Eldar mobility. So as a good player, you'll have to plan ahead on where you want to go. Now, we move on to Orcs, which are my least played race in this game, and at least played race overall. Orcs dominate the mid game or the late game depending on your loadouts. The wall tower mechanic is so very interesting, and that on top of the scrap system gives Orcs a high skill curve. Orcs are, in my opinion, the best race in the game. Now, I would say Eldar are. Orcs have something I've never seen in an RTS before, and I know why I haven't. Scrap turrets. I don't know whose fucking idea was to have a doctrine for making vehicles become undead, unkillable turrets, but I honestly have to lose their fucking job. Like, look at this fucking shit! Okay, man, it's a bit overboard, but these turrets still totally fucking break the game. I remember leaving games right from the start when I saw the Elite that had this doctrine on an enemy team. But that's not my green skins. Let's talk about maps. So a lot of people don't like how the map design for some of the older Dawn of War 3 maps is. I can see why they don't because of the MOBA aspect, but I can't help but admire what the developers are going for. The old Dawn of War 3 maps would have lanes, one for each team member when you exclude 1v1. These lanes all had pathways between them. This would make a base 3v3 map just have 3 separate 1v1s, but each race has a way of getting across these lanes quickly. Space Marines have drop pods, Eldar have the webway, while Orcs have wall towers. Some 2v2 maps were also ported to 3v3 maps, so with a 2-lane setup, there would be a 2v2 and 1v1 on the same match. Sometimes even a 1v2 and a 2v1. Combine this with Elite and Doctor systems, and you have team gameplay that was way more dynamic than StarCraft ever was. Now, this map design fucked with Annihilation a bit, but later maps fixed this while playing the same lane design Power Core mode. Now, 1v1 maps are a bit different, because most of them have 2 lanes that you both need to defend all by yourself. All the 1v1 maps could have been 2v2 maps, but only Morksmire is. 1v1's played a lot more like regular RTS maps, which isn't a bad thing, because forcing 2 players on the same lane would just be really boring. Now, I'm going to talk about art style. This game is by far the best looking RTS I've ever seen. For some reason, I hear some people calling the art style cartoony, and while I would have preferred just an upgraded version of Dawn of War 2's art style, I still think his claims are ridiculous. Also, the main characters from the campaign look very weird. Gabriel looks nothing like it used to. Maka is fine, but would be way cooler just a higher definition version of her old look. And Gorguts is fine, I guess, but where the hell is his gun? Other than that, everything in this game looks fucking fantastic. Except for the Eldar portraits, I suppose, which I guess could be the reason some people call this game cartoony, but it's whatever, really. So now let's talk about the community. So due to the fact that the game wasn't very well received, it never had a very nice community. To this day, there are still people on the forums who don't even play the game and make fun of people who do. However, I met a lot of friends playing this game, so there are nice people. So the best place to find these nice people is the Dawn of War 3 Discord, and I'll leave a link for it in the description. They host game nights where they play on community maps twice a week. Speaking of which, the community maps and mods for this game are awesome. And the mods are really just limited to balance, but the ones like the Exodus are great. Even while making this video, I found a fully working Last Stand map. There are even elite grinders to level up your elites, but even these still take forever. Thanks, Relic. Regardless, the community content for this game is great. If you don't mind playing versus bots or jumping to Discord's weekly game nights, then you'll fucking love these maps. People saying Dawn of War 3 wasn't a Dawn of War game are right and wrong at the same time. Dawn of War never had a formula. This one just wasn't received well. Now it breaks my heart to say this, but I cannot recommend this game anymore. Simply due to the fact that it's still being sold at $40 for what you get. This game should have been $30 at launch due to the small amount of content it launched with. From what I heard, Relic only spent 10 months working on the current build for this game. And for what we got for the time, I say what we got was pretty damn good. But imagine if they had like another year. Now, I don't want to point fingers or anything, but usually stuff like this happens because of a publisher. After all this time, it still drives me crazy how publishers have to realize that you can't just get your company to shit out games and expect good results. I don't play Dawn of War 3 all that much anymore, because whenever I do, it hurts me. Like, part of me dies inside. I trusted Relic to stand by the community and try to right their wrongs. Now, whenever I try to play it, I just feel empty. Whenever I think of it, I just try to think of the good memories I have with the game, because that's all it is now, a memory. Alright guys, I'm gonna end this video off with an interview I got with Bike Rush. I'm gonna link his Twitch and his YouTube down in the description. He used to be the #1 player for this game, and I decided to interview him and ask him some questions on why he thought the game failed. Oh, alright. Question number 1. Why did you like Dawn of War 3?
Unique how it worked. I liked it because it, well, mainly a new strategy game to be fair, and it obviously had the Dawn of War 3 kind of thing, kind of hype about it because no new strategy games being released. Main areas I liked about it was the basic base building. It didn't really have full base building. The art design was cool, even though you can edit your units. The gameplay was actually quite fun, to be fair. It was actually a good game, to be fair. So that's why I liked it. It had one, you know, it had and it had a bunch of new players, so it was quite a fun game.
Yeah, alright. That's understandable. Why did you stop playing it?
DLCs, lack of support from the developers. Game got really stale after a while. They released new content, like not new content, but you know, they released that fucking whatever it's called, the modes. They didn't release actual game. They just released the mode and shit. What, you know, they took away the PowerPoint, like the power score thing.
Yeah.
Stopped playing it because everyone started becoming inactive. Balance was just terrible. Awkward, like ridiculously OP. Like, you know, I
Still
played
are.
Eldar. Yeah, I played Eldar, and it was because of, I think it was because of me. They patched it because I had like a 100 win rate against players, but it wasn't anything to do how good I was. It was just people didn't know how to use Orc. They didn't know yet the extension of how OP it was. So yeah, just no patches really. The developers were really bad developers, to be fair. Maybe the publisher or developer, you know, they just didn't release anything.
They only did.
Well,
They only spent 10 months on the current build before launch, so it was a bit of a mess.
I mean, I played like 8 ESLs. I won like 8 of them as well. I won most of all of them, and that was fun. I was winning tournaments, but the reason I stopped playing was just mainly the balance. It was just so stupid, you know. Everything just seemed so off with it, and the game got stale. They didn't release any new factions, so it got boring doing the same thing over and over and over every day.
Yeah.
And yeah, mainly that.
They didn't even because you main playing 1v1s, right? Because you're like more a competitive player.
Yeah.
They only ever released one more 1v1 map, like ever.
As well, yeah, that was it. The maps, dude. Oh my god, it was so boring. Just they never really. Yeah, it was just boring, you know. I played like 600 hours. I must have played that game 40 hours a week, probably.
Yeah. All right. Well,
playing that every day.
Here's the final question: why do you think everyone else stopped playing it? For some reason, as you or for other ones?
Well, with other people I've talked to, the main issue was just no content. Everyone wanted the DLC faction. The campaign wasn't notable as like if Dawn of War 2 and Dawn of War 1, I actually only played them for the campaign because their campaign was awesome.
Yeah.
So Dawn of War 3 had no, you know, had nothing to draw the single players and the multiplayers back in. Like the multiplayer side, you had no additional content, so why would you come back? The single player side had no additional content, and the campaign was so boring. I didn't even do it. I played the first mission and I stopped and I watched it. Just a lack of everything. Lack of support, lack of players in the end. The servers were a bit buggy. Everything just went stale, you know. Everything became boring. Like I said, Orc were just OP as hell, and everyone got bored of it. No balance, and they kept nerfing like Space Marines and Eldar. Like what the fuck? Like nerf Orc, and they did a little nerf, but really it didn't really do anything. Heroes are OP. That War was OP, like 75% more damage. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like, Orc was like the best race. Like even
today.
Literally.
Mainly people just stopped playing it because before Relic announced they abandoned it, was people stopped playing it, and they did a mixture, right? With the heroes, they made all heroes were too OP pretty much. Like the purpose of the heroes, I got it, but it just, if they scaled the heroes down, like say if they went World of Warcraft style, the heroes actually cost money to buy and like keep. That would be a big difference. You could lose hero upon hero and just have to wait. You know, there was no real.
Yeah.
No, oh my god! I just lost a hero now. I have to pay like 100 power.
They actually, in the October update, they actually buffed the HP of like every single unit, which meant heroes not as good. But also that was like back when back before everyone stopped playing. It was too late, you know.
Wow. But that's retarded because they just fucking don't.
They never really tried to make an esports scene, right? Like, I don't think they ever really had any prize pools.
No. There was some ESL, but that was mainly done by the community at ESL. There was no real tournaments. There was no real communication, I would say, between the developers and players. It kind of felt stale, and they just banned it in the end. You know, they got Age of Empires 4, whatever, 5, whatever's now. I think they just gave up on the game pretty quick. I don't think they ever was going to support the game. I think it was just a cash grab, to be fair. Literally, I think it's a cash grab. It's just the way how they handled everything. If the player said anything, we were wrong. Replays, ladder and replays weren't even out, right, when the game was released. I think something wasn't there.
It was
that was a big thing.
And it's still not out.
Oh, wow. So there couldn't really be even any tournaments. That was the problem. You couldn't really do anything.
You had to watch replays. Like I actually casted like the last tournament that went on, and you have to wait for replays. You can't spectate. It's ridiculous.
And they just didn't know how to fucking. I think they tried to go to like try and get League of Legends players over. How they made the game just seemed kind of weird. Like the heroes were just a bit ridiculous. How they handled that. Oh, can you just nerf the heroes? They didn't listen. They didn't listen to anyone. So if anything, the game deserved to die. But it's unfortunate it did, to be fair. I mean, they just didn't listen. So it died mainly because the developers were bad developers, to be fair. And that's pretty much, pretty much the end of that story.
All right, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming on for this interview. We're gonna end it now.
Oh, that's cool.
Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for me today. A like or a subscription would be very much appreciated because I spent about 10 to 12 hours working on this video. This is my first time making an editing project like this, so like I said, anything like that means a lot, especially because I'm such a small YouTuber. Anyways, guys, I really appreciate it, and have a good one.